Welcome back, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, where we focus on God, family, and country. And we are excited to share with you a few things today. We're going to do a little bit of a recap on the 2022 Prepper Talk Radio 2022 and see, where we've come, where we started, when we kicked off, when we relaunched, and just talk a little bit about the exciting things we've done over the last, what has it been, 8 months, maybe?
8.5 months, almost 9.
8.5 months. So I think we kicked off again in March. So we've had quite the year. We're excited about what we've done in 2022, and we're planning on making some. We're doing a business planning meeting here pretty shortly about what we're going to do and try to really do some good things in 2023 and bring some really good content and some ideas and some techniques and skill set stuff, and just really do some good things for you guys in 2023 as well. So just as a quick reminder, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're liking our page on Facebook and joining our group there as well. Emergency prep and self-reliance. That way you can be on our list to win a Jase case. Jase Medical has their antibiotic supply of antibiotics that is fantastic. You don't want to miss. You don't want to be without antibiotics if you need them. If you don't win, make sure to go to jasemedical.com. Use Prepper Talk, and you'll get a $10 discount, and you'll be able to get your supply-ish of antibiotics. And then we also have the opportunity, because Shane so graciously has included in this contest, a 5-ounce silver bar. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I just saw the other day that silver increased 1.5%. So, maybe here's what I think you guys are doing. This is what you're doing. Maybe you're holding off on getting us to 1,000 subscribers until the 5-ounce silver bar is like $20-$30 an ounce. And that's why you're waiting. Maybe that's the deal. No, come on, let's get us to 1,000. Let's run this contest. Let's get everybody, the winners out their items so that we can get it to them as quick as possible. So make sure that you're doing all that for us and spreading the word, the good word on preparedness. So just a couple of numbers. We were calculating before the show. We started with this episode that we're talking about in right now is 230, episode 230. And we relaunched Prepper Talk Radio episode 163. So that gives us 67 episodes since we've relaunched in 2022. And we relaunched in March. Is that right? It was March.
About March 7th
March.
or so.
Yep. And one thing that I want to share for those of you that are on the, for those of you who are on the YouTube, you'll get to see this. But I wanted to share my screen here really quickly, and I want to expand this here so you can see. Since we've relaunched, or since January 1st, so this isn't really since the relaunch, but this is 2022. January 2022, we have 89,607 downloads. Thank you guys very much. And here, this is pretty cool. I didn't realize that there was so many other countries that were listening and downloading our stuff. We have United States is, of course, 89% of it, but we have Canada, UK, Australia, Sweden, Germany, Norway, Finland, Ireland, Romania, for goodness sakes. I wonder if Andrew Tate's listening to us in Romania. Anyways, we got Russia. We got some downloads in Russia. So we've got some downloads all over the world. Super exciting to be able to have that as an opportunity for us. So
I think anyone listening if you're watching, please hurry and hop over on YouTube. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Either the country or the state and country or the just, you don't have to give us your address. I don't want that. But give us an idea. Where are you listening from? And why are you listening? Comment down right below here, because I'd love to know that. I just kind of geeks me out. I was on a travel trip when we were doing this years ago, and it was funny because I was on a travel trip. I was in Georgia at this expo, and I was helping sell software for this company. And I don't know if you remember this, Shane, but this lady next to me in the booth next to me, I was talking to her, and she's like, "So what do you do?" And I told her about prepping and told her that I had a podcast, and she's like, "Wait a minute, my husband listens to you." So she calls her husband. She's like, "Hey, don't you listen to Prepper Talk Radio?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I love those guys." She's like, "You're never going to guess who I'm talking to." And so she hands me the phone, puts it on speaker. I'm like, "Hey, this is Scott with Prepper Talk Radio." And he goes, "Bullshit." And I just laughing. And he goes, "Are you for real? That's awesome." And he's like, honey, you can't tell me this stuff and then I'm not there. That's not cool. So it was fun. getting to know people that are listening, tuning in. Like we appreciate you guys so much. We don't do this for any other reason than to help you guys. So
Yeah.
let us know where you are, because it's fun and why you listen. You know, it's good for us to know those things. And if you have topics you want us to cover, like you're like, please just cover this, tell us, so we'll cover it.
I had a similar experience. I was at a lodge in the mountains, and I was just talking with somebody, and they said, "Oh yeah, I think my son listens to that podcast." They go get their son, and I'm talking to, "Oh yeah, we listen to your podcast all the time." So yeah, it's
That's
a small
awesome.
world. It was always fun to meet people, like-minded people.
Yeah, such a
It's
cool
fun.
community. The prepper community is such good people.
Yeah.
They're more humble. They're down to earth. They're reasonable in thought, and like they're just fun. They're good people. And it's funny because people are like, "Oh, preppers are crazy." I'm like, I've never met these quote crazy preppers everyone in the media talks about.
You've met me, Scott. You know, it depends on your definition of crazy, right?
Dude,
yeah, that's true. That's a very good point.
Compared to normal people,
I was on an
I'm nuts,
interview.
man.
I was on an interview for another podcast, and I was actually talking about how everybody needs a Burt Gummer friend, and that you're my Burt Gummer friend.
I'll take it.
Like I was just like, that's what you mean to me. Like you're my Burt Gummer, and I look at Paris, and he's probably, I forgot the guy's name, but he's the Kevin Bacon of Tremors. Like he's got the longer hair. He's the skinnier guy. I'm the chubby, out of shape guy.
That's true. You're the Kevin Bacon there.
So I don't know who I am in the movie. I'm probably the Tremor, and you guys killed me. Thanks.
That's funny.
Let's see.
You're the worm.
Which episode would you be on?
That's the Tremor. I'm the worm. I'm
Oh,
the graboid. But like, here's the thing though. Like, I want to get my next vehicle. I'm really tempted to get my license plate a vanity plate and have it be like Burt Gummer. Drive it up to your house and take pictures with you.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's not very gray, man. But I mean, who's going to really pay attention to that? You know, but you know, the one thing that I hope that people get from the podcast is, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Is there's so much knowledge increasing in the world. People think they know so much. They're so smart. They have their degrees. People only listen to experts, right? But it's my opinion that people, they know more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing.
That's legit.
And I certainly don't want to be spewing any of that. I know we do some repeating and repetition, but I think repetition is good. If you say, "Oh, I've heard it all again," and turn us off, please let us know, because we certainly don't want to be boring or repetitive. But I know for me, a lot of times I get so deep into some topics, I like to really dig in and be really boring about it, right? But I think some of those things are really important, and maybe they're not important to you because, like, for example, we talked about, hey, let's do a deep dive into batteries, right? Nothing more boring to most people, I think, than batteries, right? For me, it's an important topic. I've had a lot of experience with batteries, but who wants to hear about that, right? But
I want to hear about hemp battery. Tell me everything you know.
I need to learn more about hemp batteries. I know nothing about them.
They're absolutely intriguing to me right now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because of our battery conversations, that popped up in my feed. Because, everyone's listening and watching through our mobile devices, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And, for those of you who are paying attention to what's going on in the world, like, yeah, the Senate's going to try to see what they can do to kick TikTok out of America because they're spying on us as much as, or maybe more than, the government is through Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and everything else, right? Like, it's not just the marketing machine that's spying on us.
Right.
Everyone is. Like
we assume it's the marketing side, and we kind of say, oh, whatever, because sometimes I like to see ads for things that I might want or might need, right? But we understand that TikTok is mostly nefarious, right? In their purpose. And that's absolutely true as well. Marketing, in my opinion, is for the most part, it's manipulative and gaslighting, I guess you could call it at its worst, right?
Here's an idea for those of you guys who are listening. If you want something specifically, if you're looking for a specific product, make sure you go on your spouse's, your loved one's laptop and start doing Google searches and Amazon searches on theirs. It will put it into their feed all the time.
Cookies.
And they'll know without question that that's what you want, or at least they'll think that they need it because they see it all the time because you want it. Somebody told me that's what they did to their spouse, and they get what they want almost every year for Christmas, which is hilarious to me.
So they just drop hints like so consistently that they see it so regularly, or what?
No, they go on their laptop and they search it and shop for it and never buy it. But then they get like the return and buy this thing feed in every website they go to, because that's how Google Ads works. Like they look at where you just went to shop and they're like, oh, let's get relevant ads to go along that.
This company's paying us for an ad. Let's pop it up here because they were looking for something.
They're looking for diamond rings. All of a sudden, oh, your friend in the diamond business, the chain company, everywhere they go. Like, wow, I really should get my wife that nice pendant.
That's where I shop, actually.
Right?
Company. Great place.
Well, he's your friend.
And it's my same name.
Shane Co.
That's awesome.
Like this year, like it's been fun doing the podcast again. I look forward to it every week to have buddy time, even though it's digital, but talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is prepping.
Yeah,
and help people further along that process. And just like you said, like some of our topics, you might be like snooze, and other topics you might be like, oh my gosh, I love this. Let's talk more about it. Like,
but then maybe hopefully someday you realize, you know what, I need a better solution for batteries. These guys talked about it once. Let me go back and listen to that. So hopefully
there you go.
Got some, not just batteries, but whatever. But if you want to talk batteries, I can yammer for a while about batteries.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Well, I think like this is a perfect time to start talking about kind of like favorites from the year. Like, do you guys have I don't have like a favorite podcast.
Let me I could just write the top 3. We do go down to top 5, but the top 3 downloaded podcasts this year was number 1 was episode 198, which is the 90-day home storage. That was the number 1 downloaded one. The second most downloaded podcast was The Long Dark Winter, which was episode 202, where we talked about some of the political things that are happening and the long dark winter, but as well as some of the things that, physically that temporally that, require being prepared in a winter. Episode 187, Do It Now. Don't wait for what's coming. Don't delay. The first 2 were over 1,000 downloads, and the third one was 936. So those are the top 3 downloads we've had this year. Maybe we could do a little recap on some of that if you want, or that's pretty cool. I think over 1,000. The number 1, 1,155 downloads on that 90-day home storage.
It just sounds like we need to do more doom and gloom, right? We need to do more of the dark topics.
Oh, it's interesting though. Is like if you look at our YouTube, because that's our podcast downloads. But if you look at our YouTube, close quarters training, which we did back in November, that's one of our most watched videos of the year.
Interesting.
Followed by our let's see, Alan Kay interview, followed by episode 71, episode 38 still on the top. Doomsday preppers to casual preppers. Like we just what? August 18th, 2022, 157, just in a couple, it's not impressive huge numbers like our podcast numbers, but those are the ones people are listening to and watching over and over again, which is quite interesting. City and urban prepping is up there in the top. So it's like, what do people really want?
Sounds like that kind of stuff.
I don't know. Like if you look at topics of things that we covered for the year that I thought were the most fun, the interview with Jase Medical CEO, that was
a really, really good interview.
That was fantastic. That was probably the most. I learned more in that one, I think, from him as a guest than I I would say, from most of our other guests. They've all been like fantastic, right? But he got into like prescription medications and understanding how long they last based on the government, but based on the military study that was done. And it's like, I knew they lasted longer, but dude, you got at least 15 years out of those things, guys. Keep them around. Don't throw them away.
Yeah.
I also think one of the ones that was particularly fun for me was our response to Joe Rogan calling Noah a prepper.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Dude, I've used that in so many conversations. Like, yeah, we've all heard the story of Noah. Like, I even went to the Ark Encounter this year and saw what it would have been built size-wise out of. And I'm like, holy crap, that's huge. But it's like, we all talk about like Joseph and Pharaoh's dream and 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. So let's stockpile for that. But it's like, you don't think about, okay, Noah's in this ark for almost a full year.
Yeah.
And when he gets out, it's mud everywhere. Like, what's going to grow right away? So he's got to have enough food for the year plus afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because he can't just go and eat every animal on the ark, or there won't be any of those kind when he gets off. Like, come on, man. Like, you've got to be prepared. And so it's just learning more of like, how can we be better prepared? And
just the reality of, you know, throughout time, there's been these natural disasters that we've all seen and know and have, you know, whether it's a smaller scale one where it's in your neighborhood that you have an earthquake or you have some kind of flood, or whether it's a large scale and the whole world gets flooded, for goodness sakes. It's just the reality of being ready ahead of time.
Yeah.
And being prepared ahead of time so that when something happens, you're not as caught off guard. Now, anything that happens, that's one of the things that I've just been thinking about lately is like, how do I, when I run my life, when I look at my life, I have a lot of confidence if I know that I've got pretty much everything covered in case. Like and I run a lot of what if scenarios and probably way too much. And I might be psychotic a little bit, you know, towards the psychotic on this what if scenarios, because you can get a little bit paranoid, frankly. So, you know, what if, you know, when I leave today, I come across a car accident. Do I have the right shoes on to get out and help? Or am I in my slippers because I was just going casually to do that? And so I genuinely started wearing better shoes when I go. I don't wear my slip-on shoes when I drive anymore because I want to be able to be ready to jump out of my car and help somebody. And so I like those what if scenarios have now been more prevalent in my mind and helping me prepare for all kinds of things, not just for my own family and my own life, but how can I be better prepared to help others as well in the process?
Yeah, that's a great point there, Paris. I do that on a regular basis, like when I'm in a store and or, you know, just in a public place in general, right? Because I carry all the time, and, you know, Scott and I've had this conversation and debate. Okay, what would you really do? And actually, I just had some company training, a module that I had to go through and click through a different scenario. Okay, what would you do if there's an active shooter? Okay, click A or B. You know, here's the scenario. And actually, I failed because I didn't just run for the exit. You know, in my scenario, you know,
Goodness sakes.
there was a question. You're close to an exit, and there's looks like a lady who got shot in the leg. You could help her, or you can run to the exit. And of course, I click. I'm going to help her and help her out to the exit. Of course, that was the wrong answer, right? From a corporate perspective, right? It's get out. And so I failed that. I had to redo it.
Crazy.
And go back through and click the right answers to say, oh, go through, find the exit as quickly as you can. Hide here, or and it was. I understood the purpose of the exercise, right? But I didn't agree with it.
Isn't that sad? Like, the agendas are being forced on us everywhere we are.
Absolutely.
Like, their agenda is obviously, I got to keep my assets safe. My asset are my salespeople. I can't let them get in harm's way. So if you see something bad, run away.
And notify the authorities of the individual who is injured so that they can go in and help that person after the situation has been resolved or whatever.
And they're dead by then.
Exactly. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I was waiting for the question. Okay, pull your concealed carry and go after the active shooter, right? That's not the right answer, right?
Not for
in
corporate.
Any situation, not for corporate, that is not the right answer. For me, that would have been my answer.
Maybe I need to create a training specific for us, for our company.
One of those books, remember the
That
books
asks
as
you
a
to do
kid where you go to page this. Okay, if you choose this, go to that page.
Yeah, choose your own adventure.
Choose your adventure. I'd love those as a kid. And of course, I'd always go back and do the other choice and see where it went, right? But yeah, absolutely. I think I think there are too many cowards out there, you know.
I'm pretty excited because I just scheduled my CCW class
Awesome.
for December 27th. So
Nice.
my wife and I, my daughter, my son, and the guy, he said he was going to try to grab. It's actually with Todd Nielsen, who we interviewed a couple of times on the show. His company, they have a guy that they contract with to do concealed carry classes in Utah here, and so I'm going to do it Tuesday, December 27th. I'm going to get my concealed carry. I'm pretty excited about it because then I think on the 30th, at one of the ranges here, he has like a whole scenario training where for 2 hours they run scenarios on what would you do if the following, and you get to actually practice shooting based on those scenarios. So that's, you know, it's important to, like we've talked about so many times, it's important to learn a skill in your mind, do the study, do the work, and then go practice it. Go get the muscle memory, go and do the things, because that's something that's going to really be the most helpful. If you're sitting in an active shooter situation, you're not going to remember what you read in the books. You're going to remember what you practiced on the range.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you
burn
into your muscle memory. Yeah.
If you want to instill it, you've got to drill it.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, this last year, what else did we do this last year? We had the Be Prepared Expo. We had Chris Turpin on, who ran that. We're going to do that again probably next year.
Yep.
Or at least he's doing it, and we're going to probably be part of that too this coming year. So that's going to be something.
Gave us the booth. We got to be there and support. Like,
cool. Yeah, let's do it.
It's going to be fun. That was a lot of fun. Having been in the expo world, to go to somebody else's expo that is trying really hard to make it engaging and fun, that was good. You know.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of cool people. You know, and as I look back personally, over my year 2022 year in review, you know, I feel like I accomplished a lot. And I look back, okay, what stood out the most, you know, and you know, I think what, you know, obviously stood out the most, and I know we've said this a million times, is just putting up my Quonset with you guys. You know, that was one of the most memorable days in decades that I could remember. You know, it was just
awesome,
just a lot of fun, and we accomplished something pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then just be able to work there with my son, you know, on the weekends. It's just been good time, you know, and it's something that was family oriented in every possible way. Preparedness, you know, end up getting bug out location, which is complete family orientation, right? I mean, that's really what it's for. It's really for me, you know. You ask my wife, she said, "You're doing this for you." You know, it's okay. Yes, I'm getting old to the point where if I get any older, I may not be able to do this myself, right? I got to do this when I'm young. Take advantage of the situation at the moment and just do it, right? And so,
well, you know, when the crap hits the fan, and you all, and we've talked about this before, how much we you know, part of us is like, please, crap, hit the fan, because we want to show people that we're not crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, crap, you can spend a little time not hitting the fan, because I still want to do more to prepare. There's more still to do. But man, there's still that part of us that's like, man, these guys, once it does, they're going to be so grateful that we had done all these preps. They'll be so grateful that we'd done. I tell my wife that, I'm like, I promise when the economy collapses, you're going to be grateful I have the gold and silver that I have. I mean, that I purportedly have, you know, in my safe. So it's just like, you just don't know. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah. Some justification, you know, it's for a lot of, I guess the right word is sacrificing, you know, certain things that maybe we want to do as a family, go on a trip, you know, go somewhere exotic, you know, and instead spend that money, you know, prepping, and some people are not happy about that, but you know, and it can be hard decisions, deciding, hey, you know what, we need to, instead of spending a lot of money on Christmas. We need to get some more food storage or whatever it might be, right? Sacrificing that and then hoping, like you say, hoping there's a collapse soon so that we can, be justified, not only in our own minds, but showing others, hey, we're right. And in the long run, we'll be right. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
I look at like the whole thing, like, okay, what kind of prepper are you, right? Am I a SHTF or doomsday prepper? No, I'm like, you guys, Paris, you just talked about like, oh, when the shit hits, well, here I am cussing now.
Scott.
When the SHTFs, when it hits the fan, like we're gonna be all like, I can finally use my skills, right? And everyone will be like, oh wow, those guys weren't crazy. But I'm like, I prep primarily for the, I don't know what you would call it, like
I do.
It's life insurance, right? It's the daily, it's the monthly, it's the inconveniences that life throw at you is what I prep for.
But I think it's also to me, and I think it probably is for you, Scott, is that it is going to allow more freedom to each of us.
Yeah.
Right. What we want the system to collapse because it's a slavery system that we're trapped in. And that's what I'm really looking forward to most, to say, let's shut this down. Let's blow it up, because it's not working. It's creating a slave system, not just for us, but for everyone else who doesn't realize that they're a slave, that they're locked, they're trapped in the matrix, and they don't know. They don't understand.
Right. But I'm like,
something's got to wake them up. Something's got to shake them.
But I'm talking more like I prep primarily for what if I lose my job tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And prepping has always saved me in those scenarios. When I've lost my job or haven't gotten paid on time, when my wife was sick for 6 months and had to recover from a surgery and she couldn't walk. We were doing foster care. And so I was like working full time and taking care of the kids full time and taking care of her. Like it was insane. Like she couldn't lift a kid like for 6 months. And so I'm like, here I am doing all this stuff. And I'm like, had I not been prepping, I couldn't have been helpful because we would have been really short on resources. And the resources that we create and stockpiled were used so much during that time. Right. And they get used so much during the times of down in our microeconomic situation. Right.
Yeah.
That's my number one reason for prepping.
Mm-hmm.
Now, number two is the apocalypse. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm looking forward to the return of Jesus Christ. And I know that before he comes, he's going to make life absolutely a hell on earth for the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to help preserve the righteous if we've done what he's told us to do, if we've been obedient. Yep. And that's the key, is like, we've got to be obedient, and not just to prepping, but also to loving thy neighbor, to loving God, right? More than anything, we've got the first great commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength. And that's why I feel like we do the podcast out of that love.
Yeah.
Because the second is to love thy neighbor as ourselves. And I'm like, shoot, whenever I get a nugget of truth and wisdom from a guest or from somewhere where I'm studying, I'm like, oh, I got to bring that into the next episode, right? Bring those truths to the episode, share what I've learned and share the source of it. And I tell it to you guys, and you guys tell me what you find. And it's like, one of you will like, usually it'll be like Paris or myself will be like, hey, have you guys heard of this? And Shane will be like, oh yeah, I researched them heavily in the summer of 2021 during this phase, and I found here. Oh, here's my spreadsheet, or here's all the data I've collected. And we're like, holy crap, wow, holy smokes, right? Or one of us might have that information, but it's usually Shane has it, and so it's exciting because like I learned so much just doing the show, and the research for the show. Like it's helped me figure out way more stuff about my personal prep and my plans and improve things for my family.
You know, another thing that's really important to remember is that the more you talk, like one of the things that I do in my life is that I talk about things a lot more than I do things. And that's what in Spanish, it's a saying called between said and done, there's a lot of space. And so a lot of times I have to talk about it a lot of times. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing it now because I've gotten past that. So for me, doing this podcast has been so helpful because it accelerates my doing because I'm talking more about it. I'm discussing more about it. I want to be an example of it. I don't want to just be a talker. I don't want to be on here. And then everybody's like, well, wait a minute, Paris, in that episode, you guys said this, that, and the other, and you don't even have that. Like, well, now I better get my stuff going. I
Forced
better be the
accountability.
example. Yeah. It's forced accountability. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that really I love about prepping is the confidence that it gives you that you're okay, that you will be okay no matter what life throws at you. If it throws you a job loss, you can take a deep breath because you've got food, you've got resources. And in financial planning, we talk to people about putting 3 to 6 months worth of money in the bank. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have food on my shelves than money in the bank. I'd rather have if you're, and I used to work for Pacific Gas and Electric Company in California. And one of the things we would always do if people would call us and say, hey, you know what, I can't pay my bill, you just shut me off or whatever, just shut off my power. I'm like, we would joke, at the call center, we'd be like, cash your candles, bro. Like you got to pay or else you got to have candles. So, if I have a generator, which I finally do now, thanks to you guys, and I have proper candles and proper ways to heat my home, if I do have a power outage, whether it's because I didn't pay my bill or it's because there's a genuine situation in the environment, I'm okay. I will be okay. I'll have the warmth, I'll have the light, I'll have the food, I'll have the things that I need. And there's just nothing, that confidence, there's nothing else that can replace it. That self-reliance, knowing that you don't have to rely on somebody else for your survival, is awesome. However, recognizing that we can all work together to make our survival better. So what I don't have to rely on you, but if you have skills that would enhance my situation, I want to rely on you. So don't need to rely on others for your survival, want to rely on others for your survival because you're going to synergistically make a better situation. And that to me is kind of what the community really brings to the table is that wanting to work together, because there's so much community that we can really build. And there's the people in the prepper world that want to be the solo guy, I'm going to take on the world by myself. I'm the, and I suppose there's a place for those folks, but when I have kids and a wife, that's not going to be the path I'm going to take. I got to have a community and got to work together with others.
Yeah. The place that's for those people, it's called the morgue, right? It's, yeah, you're not going to survive as a lone wolf. And, that's a whole nother episode we could talk about is community and groups and family. And it's something I think about every single day because that's a hot topic in the prepping world is how do you create a prepper group? How do you vet the people to come into your group? How can you trust these people? What are the signs, and do you do background checks and all these different aspects of that? I'm like, I got family.
Really
I got brothers, I got church members here, that's for me, that's virtually taken care of.
Well, that's the benefit we have because of our faith, right? And because of our tight family bonds. There are people I talk to all the time that don't have either of those. And they're like, well, how do you find other Christian preppers? I'm like, go to church first.
Yeah.
Like, go to church and talk about hey, bring up the subject about Joseph and Pharaoh. Like, well, has anyone thought about getting a stockpile of stuff just in case when things are good right now, but what if things go lean? What are you guys going to do when that happens? And see who's perks up and's like, because guess what? That's your new friend.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, oh, that's a bad idea. We can always just go to the store. That's not your new friend. That's going to be a service opportunity, but that's where you find people. And it's for me, I take it for granted, I think a lot that there are so many people, especially where I live now, that are prepared and that have a lot of great skills that are going to benefit each other, as well as I've got a lot of great skills that are going to benefit my neighbors. It's easy to worry when you don't have things figured out. But when you have things figured out and you have a network and you have a group, those worries are worked away.
You sleep well at night.
You sleep well at night. Yeah.
A lot better anyways. Yeah.
There's a quote from a guy, or there's a little story about a guy. He's going to be interviewed for this job, and the job is taking care of this guy's homestead, his farm. And the guy interviews and he goes, well, what makes you qualified to do this? He goes, I can sleep when it rains. I can sleep when the wind blows. I can sleep every night, no matter what. The guy's like, well, what does that mean? He goes, when we have a storm, you've got to hurry and batten down the hens and all. And he goes, no, I've already taken care of it. And it's like, as a prepper, you can sleep when the wind blows. You can sleep when the rain falls. You know, you can sleep when the flood goes through, because you've done everything you can possibly do to prepare for it. So you don't have to run out in the middle of the night and be like, oh, we got to double check everything. Oh, we got to take care of this all of a sudden. There's no emergency, right?
Mm-hmm.
You eliminate most of the emergencies that are going to happen in your life by resolving it before it's an emergency.
Amen.
And so the guy got the job, and then there was a storm, and the farmer comes out and he's like, oh, we got to, and he goes, and everything he checks on, and he's mad at his guy. He's like, he's not out here. Everything he checks on is already taken care of. And so the next morning he tells the guy, he's like, I understand what you meant. I understand what you're saying. Everything was already taken care of. So that if something happens, I can still sleep.
That's awesome.
And I learned that this year, and I'm like, man, that is profound. I need to go find the full story and share it. But I think this is the greatest hobby anyone can get. You're not wasting money on jerseys. You're not wasting money on comic books. You're not wasting money on creepy dolls that stare at you while you sleep. Like, you're not
wasting time watching programs that are learning more and more about nothing, right? And then knowing everything about nothing. So
I really like that.
Nothing comes of anything. You've developed a set of skills, and you've developed a better person in yourself.
Yeah, a certain set of skills over a lifetime.
Right? You make me a nightmare for people like you.
Yeah.
That's me, mean and dangerous face. It looks more like a.
But I think the difference is, Scott, you're what you're referring to. Obviously, that movie is a very high risk, right? This is the complete opposite of high risk, right? This
Low
is
risk.
removing all that risk, right?
Well, it's like we're at peace because we're prepared. You know, I need to make a shirt. Prepared, not panicking. Not panicking. I'm prepared, right? Like something. And
you can just approach life in such a different way when you're prepared. There's like, if one of the things in financial world we tell people, look, if you have enough money in savings and your boss tells you to do something that you don't agree with, you can walk because you have plenty of money in savings that you don't have to worry about being in an environment that's going to be go against your character, your integrity, your moral code. If you're not prepared, you have no money in savings, you have no food storage, you have no water storage, you have nothing, and your boss tells you to do something that's against your character, against your moral code, you're probably going to have to do it because you have nothing to fall back on. I know I haven't, now for you, Scott, I haven't brought up Jordan Peterson in a few podcasts, but I'm going to bring him up again today.
Well,
so I was
recap, so you kind of have to.
Yeah, I do. For the year recap, I have to bring up Jordan Peterson. One of the things he talks about is helping people, how he's helped people increase their salary over time. And he says, if you have something to negotiate with, like you have to document what you're doing in your job that's good, because a boss is not going to care about you unless you're doing something that's wrong. Like that's when you show up on their radar. When you're doing everything right, you're just doing everything right. Now, one of the things he's done, he's helped people double and triple their salaries because he gives them these kind of the ingredients. It's like, look, document everything you're doing good, and then make sure your CV or your resume is up to date, and make sure you have a couple of opportunities to, if you did leave, you literally have a couple places kind of lined up. Like have them always this is one of our episodes, dig your well before you're thirsty. And so he said, then go to your boss and say, listen, these are the good things I've done over the last year. These are the two things. If you don't give me the raise, I would like to have a 10% raise. If you don't give me the raise, I have an opportunity to go work for this company and that company, and they're going to be able to provide for me the dollar amount that I'm seeking. So it's up to you. I'd like to stay working here because we already have a relationship. He says invariably they get the raise because they have the money, because they have they can show the person, this is what I've done for you. And they're prepared. They're ready. They have a backup. They have resources that they can fall back on, and they literally will back it up with, okay, then I'm leaving. wait, don't leave.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
if you have a good employee that just showed you the 10 things that they did to increase your company's revenues, and then they're like threatening to leave, you're going to think twice, and you're definitely going to, maybe you don't get the 10-15% raise, but you'll probably get 8 or 9 or 7 or 8 or something. So
Something.
that's what being
Yeah.
prepared and being self-reliant is about, is having all the skill, not just food storage, not just money storage, but also having the skill sets and the emotional confidence that you can walk, you can look, you can stare, you can meet the gaze or the stare of any man and not back down or not feel like you're going to be taken advantage of, because you're ready, you're prepared, you have almost and can we be prepared for everything? There's no way to be 100% of ready for every 100% of everything. But man, if we can be 80 to 90% prepared for 80 to 90% of what life's going to throw at us,
Yeah.
bring it. That's what prepping is all about to me.
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to make sure to bring up before we end here is again, I always say look to the past to prepare for the future, but I think that includes looking back to March when we started this this off, and look at how the frog has been put in the hot pot of water, and it's boiling, right, and the frog's dead. By now he's probably dead. But I think realistically, looking to how much things have changed just in these 8.5 months, it's very stark, and it's quite a difference to me. Obviously, that's basically when the war in Ukraine started, but how it's accelerated and things have changed worldwide since then. It's we get so used to these changes that they become normal, and they're like, this is not normal, and I think that's obviously one. We talk about about the powers that be, our evil ruling overlords, right? They want us to think everything is all normal. This is all normal process, and nothing's really changed. This is all standard, but it's not. Things are changing dramatically, and it is difficult to notice that if you're not continually looking back and say, hey, wow, look at what's happened over this last year, these last few months, the last few weeks. Things are changing rapidly, dramatically. And I guess if there's anything I wanted to bring up about our year in review is how much things really have changed since the three of us got together and started doing this again.
It really has. And it's going to continue to get a little bit worse in many different ways in life. And there will be good times. Like there will always be good times. So stay positive, everybody.
Absolutely. Well, with that, let's close out the show for today, the year in review 2022. So thank you so much for being with us. I don't know when you started listening, if it was episode 163 or if it was episode 228, but we are grateful for you. We're grateful for the opportunity to, one of the things that we're grateful for is that when we log in to see our statistics, we're actually growing and maintaining our podcast, the downloads, the viewers. It's just fun to think that other people are interested and to hear what the three of us are talking about and want to share. And we're excited to have built the community. Our Facebook group continues to grow. Our list, email list continues to grow, which we're grateful for, so that we can stay in contact with everybody if we need to. So just remember to please like and subscribe, and go to our website and join our list. There's a resources page, and then you can go and download any resources we have available by putting your email in there, and you'll get the free download. So that'll join our email list so we can communicate with you when we need to. So please have a fantastic rest of your life. Pardon me. I hope you close out 2022.
Is that an omen?
Yes, that's not an omen. So we hope you have we hope you finish out 2022 strong, and that you build your goal sets, your goals, and your what you want to do for 2023. And we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you.
See you guys.